some of you all may have been there a couple months ago to come and give a presentation of how Schlumberger globally is coming to terms with the fourth industrial revolution. In other words, how are they, as an oil and gas company, how are they trying to maintain a competitive edge? And so the individual who's also a Trinidadian, who lived and worked in China, in Russia, and right now he's in San Diego, they actually have a department specifically for spatial analysis. So Schlumberger, of course, is an oil and gas company. They believe that in order to maintain their competitive edge, they need to continue to innovate in this area. And more you're going to see globally that people are not only leveraging big data, but also integrating big data. So we are doing the research, but we also want to do the execution and application. And we can't do that alone. So we actually reached out to Shane and the GIS Society of Trinidad and Tobago and said, how could we begin a conversation in terms of how GIS could be used for business? And specifically with respect to maintaining competitiveness. And he said, okay, where do we start? And so we developed this forum where we wanted to bring a lot of the practitioners, people who may have heard of GIS analysis, and really kind of have started dialogue in terms of how GIS could be used as a tool for business. So I think that's the other difference, because I know GIS analysis is done on main campus, for instance. Let's get into the presentation. So this is a quote that we have from Charles Darwin. He said, "It's not the strongest species that survive, nor the most intelligent, but the ones who are most responsive to change." And so when it comes to GIS, could you click the next slide? Just go page down. Yeah. You know, we've really moved. GIS analysis really started from just a map, right? So the explorers, they circled the globe and they documented what it is that they saw, and they used those maps to continue the exploration process. But could the maps be used for something else? So the middle slide actually is one of the first applications in use of GIS. Anybody saw this map in the middle before? What is it? Tell me.
That's a map of Colorado Island.
Right? So the professor was Jon Snow, right? Not the guy who's in this crazy thing that's on HBO, Game of Thrones, but actual bona fide professor. And his is a series, and again, this is where we're coming back. How do you use GIS to solve problems, right? Is how do we solve the cholera problem in United Kingdom at the time? And he said, okay, let's map this out spatially, and let's kind of figure out where the center, where the opportunities for the spread of cholera is actually taking place. And through this analysis, he figured out it was from the water supply. Yeah, and started to alleviate the problem of cholera. But now we have the third frame. Anybody familiar with that? That's Waze. So now in a real time, your mobile device becomes a sensor, and in real time you get an update in terms of where you are, and you get feedback in terms of other users, in terms of what they are seeing. How congested is your road? Is there police? I tell you, if you're driving from Massachusetts to Florida, you need Waze, right? Because there's so many police traps along the way. As an immigrant, you could be quite taken off. Anyway, so again, because I'm a lecturer, you're going to get this element of it. What is GIS, Geographic Information System? Well, it's a multi-component environment used to create, manage, visualize, and analyze data. And the thing is, you could get information in a tabular form, and that's, you know, as a trained economist, that's where we started, right? Tables, graphs, charts. But you know, if you put this on a map, you know, you get a completely different story. So one of the top problems in Trinidad and Tobago right now is crime. But the crime is not dispersed all over Trinidad and Tobago. It's actually very concentrated. And so now you can start taking your first steps into thinking, okay, how do we actually deal with this problem? And this is something that you probably wouldn't see intuitively here, and Leslie is really good in big data analysis. But here, in 2 seconds, you see what is the extent of the problem. So GIS could be a tool for very sound decision making. The other thing is what is spatial analysis, right? And so we talk about GIS, the title for the presentation today is Geospatial Analysis, so there's a spatial component, right? So spatial analysis focuses on statistical analysis of patterns and underlying process. It actually goes behind that and tries to figure out what is generating what it is we're seeing, what are the causal factors, right? And so you go back to John Snow, the professor, and you could think about what he's trying to figure out as a problem, but he's using spatial analysis as a tool. And so this is just one example of crime again, but at a more micro level. And could you now do analysis, for instance, what's the impact of crime on housing prices? What is the cause of crime in terms of the age categories of the people living in that specific demographic area and the education levels? And now we could start unpacking the problem. The key thing for us is that we want to see people, and because we're from a business school, in particular businesses, using this as a tool, and I'll give you some more examples of that. You know, we actually have DBA students in the business school, quite a number. And they say, Richard, because I'm a supervisor, and we need data, and we need ideas. If we could provide this information to them, then you have probably some of the best minds in Trinidad and Tobago working for free on problems of crime, migration. It's another big issue. We had a big presentation on that today. But the thing is that we need to make this information more available. So what has really led to the growth in terms of spatial analysis? One, massive amounts of data, and data that is free. And you know, it really started with this gentleman. Anybody know who he is? Right? He's considered the founding father of GIS analysis. So he took the time to clean the data and give very good, accurate projections, and then make it available. So it's not a create and hug, it's a create and distribute kind of framework. And of course, the United States sees this. Of course, he's Canadian. But the United States sees this, and they multiply by 110 and expand in terms of the usage. And we could really attribute that to the U.S. Census Bureau. So the other thing that helped in terms of the application is increasing computing power, software, and hardware devices. So everybody knows that the power that we have in our cell phones right now is more than the rockets that actually went to the moon, right? The computing power within the rockets that went to the moon. And so now we could process huge amounts of data on our mobile phone or on a simple tablet or on a laptop. The key thing about the software is that, yes, we have ArcGIS, which is a nice software tool, and it's really user-friendly, but then you have QGIS, which is open source, which is free. So now the boundaries are really being broken, right? And the other thing is the integration of other technologies, interfaces, and applications. And so I was actually, in preparing for this, kind of like reading on what the World Economic Forums had to say about the Fourth Industrial Revolution and GIS. And they said, look, you need to pay close attention to this. Yes, you need to have maps available, you need to be doing strong analysis, but you need to be thinking mobile. Yeah? And so you could have an application like Trulia. Anybody knows Trulia? Trulia or Zillow? Right, you would have heard of Zillow. So it's a platform where you buy or sell houses, or you could look for apartments to rent. But the interface is really, really unique, in the sense that you could see, if you put in the actual address, you could get pictures of the home. It integrates, you remember Google had developed this thing called Street View. So now you could actually not only see the home, but see your neighbors in 3D. If you want, you could get a crime analysis. Right? One of the big factors that determine if it is you're going to purchase a home in a specific area is their crime. What is the proximity to schools, to malls, to parks? All of this information is integrated into Trulia. In fact, you could get data on how much that house sold over time. And is the price actually increasing, and if the price is decreasing? So if the price is pretty low and it was pretty high, is that a good time to buy? Yeah, you run after it, right? Because it's now on the down, so that's the time you want to acquire the asset. So now, and by the way, this is available, there's an app for this which you could access on your mobile phone. But this is actually my favorite one. This is a big company, Trulia, right? This is an individual. So he started this craze. He's based in Silicon Valley as well. His daughter was telling him, you know, I don't like this thing called trash, right? So he said, okay, I'm going to take a photo of our trash while he was actually jogging. Took the photo of the trash, posted it on Instagram, and then picked up the trash and put it in the bin. Simple, right? Well, he started a movement. He asked other people to do the same thing on the same Instagram account. Yeah? So then it became a craze, right? Because he started it. He took different types of trash. You could think about plastics. You could think about recyclable material and such. But the thing is, he got the crowd involved. And the crowd started to take pictures of trash. He then integrated this with AI so that the AI could actually scan through the photos of the trash and disseminate what type of trash is in a specific location. Because again, the Instagram app allows him to identify where the trash is located. So what kind of trash, where it's located, and of course, one of the deliverables is that anybody who takes the photo of the trash has to take it up and put it in the bin. So he's also doing a social good, right? A company approaches him and says, listen, I need your people to walk through my city and take photos of the trash to identify the kind of trash that we have in our city so we could help inform our garbage collectors and recycling companies. And so, from a basic startup idea, he has a business built on other people taking photos and actually disseminate on Instagram. And so these are the bounds now that we have in terms of leveraging GIS and integrating it with other applications. And these are the possibilities for anybody that wanted to. What do you think is the cost for him to start this up? Or what do you think is the value of his first contract? Right? So it's a huge opportunity once you know how to actually leverage it as a resource. So the third area is skill and capability. And it's something that I think even in Trinidad, when I came back, I was so pleased to see that. That yes, we have a Department of Engineering with a geospatial unit. So now we have, as I mentioned to Shane, a lot of good graduates coming out from the unit. We have GIS, which is now there's an organization among the users. And now we have a conference that's going to actually be hosted in Trinidad and Tobago for the Caribbean. The question is, could we be added to that picture from a business point of view? And this is what today is about, really bringing the pieces together in a meaningful way to create opportunities for business. So what are the next steps? And this comes straight from the Fourth Industrial Revolution meeting on GIS. You really need to think about building a community. So to go back to the Trulia application, Trulia gives you information on the history of housing prices. It gives you real-time information of crime. It gives you Street View, which is from Google Maps. Do you think they could establish something like that alone? It has to be a community. Yeah? There can't be no silos anymore. The other thing is they need to build capacity, and we're going to talk more about the workshop that we're having. And this is, I guess, the forte of the business school to try and get GIS on the map within the business school. I think we definitely need to build content and share applications, right? So, again, as the applications, we try to get someone from Ministry of National Security. Initially, they said that they were interested, but, you know, that is something that we could share, right? I mean, we don't want to know what's your crime plan, but we want to know how you're using the data to do the analysis. And so we could see how it's relevant and applicable to all of us. I think we need to push the envelope in terms of innovation. So think about this guy who's walking around and just really trying to meet the requirements of his daughter and make her feel happy that he's taking up trash. But then he launches a new business idea. So we need to be like that. We need to be thinking out of the box in some of these applications. And that's why we have Leslie here, by the way. He's a practical, out-of-the-box kind of guy. And we need to collaborate. So Desmond said, what are you doing? What kind of communication are you having with UWI main campus? So listen, I'm not here to take anybody's job. I'm here to work and to get this thing moving. I want to ask you, in 5 years from now, do you see an industry being built around this platform? Can you envision it? Companies, startup companies using this as a tool. And now, if you could see it, what do we need to do to make it happen? And that's why we're here today.